Hey, and we are coming in here with the Overwatch Open Division with Fang Esports. First day here, Season 3, Week 1, Day 1. I am your play-by-play caster, FBI Tugboat. And at my side...
It's me, Dream. I'm here with the analysis. We are going to be checking out Fang Esports versus the Unsociables. This is the first round of Open Division Season 3. It's a Swiss format, so you got to win a lot of games to make it through to the end. This is the start of a marathon, not a sprint for both of these teams here.
I love the phrasing. And of course, this will be a four map with the fifth map only being playing in the case of a tie. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, just a traditional best of four format that we're going to be playing here. And it looks like we will be starting out on control as we're used to, then moving through. We're going to be going to escort for map 2, assault for map 3, and then hybrid for the fourth map.
Gotcha. Always fun starting on a control point. And of course, you are a Dream, and we have a Mr. Dreams on here, so we'll be sure to make that distinction coming on in here. But Nepal, let's talk about this. We're switching on over here to Unsociables first. Flipping through here, we have Alex, Tyfler, Raxby, Monty, Shamarama Men, excuse me, and Prize.
And for Dragon's Fang, we've got Swede, Genectro, Easy, Mr. Dreams, Finks, and the newly reminted Arani here coming in. Now, both of these teams looking pretty good. Dragon's Fang average SR a little above 3K in the 3.2K range, while Unsociables is around 2.6. So just based on SR, which isn't always the best thing to base it on, right? But just looking at that as a comparison point, Dragon's Fang has a little bit of an edge.
Yeah, a little bit, but both teams, only within a short little distance of each other. 600 can always be going up one way or another, especially anybody who's played a little competitive in the past few seasons knows how how up and down that can be, right?
Absolutely. I mean, SR certainly fluctuates, and when you're looking at where they're at right now, that's not always the biggest indicator, because having that teamwork factor, having some prepared strats can really make a big difference, especially when we're talking in this open division. You really have to, when things get thrown at you, stand firm, fall back on those strats, fall back on your practice, fall back on what you know. And that's really what it's gonna take here, because neither team has a huge idea of what to expect from the other. You're kind of flying blind a little bit.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And I am certain that both of these teams have probably done a little bit of research, if that isn't possible. But we'll be going over Paul here. This is Sanctum here first. Lots of environmental kill abilities, lots of pulled pork combos between the Orisa Roadhog, and we'll kind of speculate as to what's coming in here first. But Dream, what you got about Nepal?
Well, I definitely like that you can see super different compositions on different stages. Obviously, Village being one of those ones with tanks and Farah, kind of all on its own. Shrine has many different options. You can run dive, you can run tanks, and then Sanctum, as you were talking about, does have that pulled pork very often, the Orisa Roadhog combo. And we're starting out on Sanctum, so we'll see if anybody wants to run that Roadhog Orisa combo, or maybe we'll see some Reinhardt options as well. And occasionally we do see dive here too.
Yeah. Then Ghost Comp is all the more popular, all the most popular right now, right? That triple tank, triple support meta, usually off the back of some fantastic Brigitte play, with an on healer like Moira, who can group heal and stay mobile with the rest of the team.
Yeah, Goats has definitely been strong this patch, and I think that there's a strong chance we'll see it throughout the series on different phases of Nepal. Again, we often see swaps. Now, as we move in here, we do have, it looks like Alps on the Tracer for Unsociables, so not usually what we see with the Orisa combo, but both teams deciding to run that Orisa, only one with the pulled pork, and that's going to be Dragon's Fang.
Yeah, it'd be interesting coming in here. Pretty earthy, Shaman pick the ultimate price for trying to keep that Tracer alive here. A little ball on the other side, not going to find it. And it looks like Dragon's going to be coming in here. Raxby looking for the cheeky boop. He almost finds a triple there. That's not going to be enough. Tyson still doing a lot of contesting here, but yeah, Typer falling there in the end. Monty, excuse me, falling there in the end, and Dragon Fangs Esports going to be taking going up about 5%.
Yeah, Alex pushed through a little quick there. There wasn't really any reason for Mr. Dreams to be distracted, so he just turns around, peels for the Zenyatta, gets the hook, and that's about it. Then you can just speed boost onto the point and get the win. So Dragon's Fang gets the initial cap, and Mr. Dreams still kind of over here on the flank trying to shut down this backwards dive attempt.
Necro and Sweet Pro coming in here just bringing out the damage pretty early here. That is Raxby as well. The healers down for the Unsociables, but we're going to see what they can get going here. Typer is falling here. That's probably going to spell a reset for Unsociables. Yeah, now Prowler's down. That certainly is.
Absolutely. This point is going to keep ticking up. We're already almost to 50% here for the side of Dragon's Fang. And this was an interesting attempt here from the Unsociables, using that Mei and dropping down into the little closet area. But you're up against the Junkrat and a Roadhog. It's not really preferable to go in there even with your own Mei. So they end up swapping off of that Monty now on the Junkrat.
Yeah, and DFE coming through here with two big ultimates coming up and very close to both of their. There you go. Necro's Riptide crew going to be certain to get that around the background here somewhere. Let's see where this ends up. But gets taken out there at the end by the opposing Junkrat. Never a good feeling.
Definitely a good stop from Monty, but still not bad from Genectro. It is control. You build up a solid 10 seconds off of that, and it looks like they're trying to drop down into the closet again. They get the stick to open it up.
Here you go. Raxby, Typhler, excuse me. Falling here in the end, that Valkyrie is going to be coming out for DFE, trying to keep everybody alive here. Divison be pretty much it. Prize, yeah, not getting beamed back here, not able to really keep him up here. Alex getting hooked again. Mr. Dreams not letting up with the Roadhog for 2 seconds. His 96%. And I'm not sure if Unsociables will be able to answer here in any capacity. So Raxby over the top, little boop action. Oh, he does find one there. Sweet First is going to get taken out by that boop there at the end, but not going to be enough. Dragon Fangs Esports takes round 1.
That's the first round going over to DFE. They won every fight. That's a full 100-0, so definitely a strong start from them. I think a lot of that comes down to their ability to deal with Alex on that Tracer. They just stayed really close together. It's very difficult for a Tracer to run in and get value against a McCree, Junkrat, Roadhog all standing next to each other, helping each other out. And then when you finally get that Pulse Bomb, you invested on the Orisa. Ever since the Pulse Bomb nerfs, she hasn't been, Tracer hasn't been super good at being able to one-shot those tanks, and especially not Orisa with that Fortify. So without, a lot of value from the Tracer, we may see Alex swapping onto another pick this round, and we see DFE swapping it up as well. They're going to be running a Far Mercy comp with dive tanks here, but they're going to keep Sweet on the McCree.
Yeah, and on the other side, Unsociables so far showing that kind of Devo Reinhardt personality. He's staying on over on the Junker. I can't open. He falls pretty quickly as soon as I say that. Alex also taken down here by Genectro. Genectro continuing to find value here. Only to open up 5 seconds.
Yeah, just absolutely steamrolling this first fight, getting the team wipe before the point even unlocks. And interestingly, we see some role flexing going on here. Alex was on the Tracer last round, starts this round out on Reinhardt, now onto the Brigitte, and Raxby's back onto the round. So some flexibility coming out from the Unsociables, but they're going to have to find a way to deal with Genectro on this Pharah, and Typhler's not going to have a lot of good angles until they can get through the choke.
Yeah, trying to play this soldier, no doubt, to counter the Mercy. Genectro's playing these sides here, not taking a whole lot of damage. It's falling pretty early here, not be surprised if we do see the res coming out by Shabarabman. But DFE is not letting up for 2 seconds. Sweets over on the side here as McCree trying to find something there, but 32%, and Unsociables is not pushing in quite yet.
Yeah, DFE did a great job of denying that res, and Alex the Brigitte is also very vulnerable to the Pharaoh. Now Genectro getting the kill onto Typhler, and we see the Swede doing a great job of locking down this coast side where the tanks are trying to push through. So we're already at 50%. There's only really been one fight that's happened, but DFE's already halfway to taking Nepal 2-0.
Yeah, now 3 ultimates and the rest of the team above 85% here for Dragon Fangs Esports. And that's going to be answered by none so far. You know, Shaman Rahman kind of close to this Valkyrie, and obviously a great one to use for, like, can be used offensively or defensively, but not, let's see, oh no, there it is. Shaman Rahman going to fall as soon as it comes out. Sweeper is finding a big one here. 74%, Angry Monkey on point. He's going to go up there, maybe try and contest a little bit, but that might be it for Paul.
Yeah, that's a solid hold. And again, we're above 80%. This is going to be a struggle to get onto the point. And especially with Genectro, who's been holding this choke the entire time. They haven't found the answer to the Pharah, but somehow they're going to have to do it right now.
Oh, there you go, a little pull shot coming to the side. He's going to find 2 back shot. And D-Neck here at the end, that is definitely going to be it now with that 3K. And DFE takes...
Absolutely a dominant double 100-0 on Nepal here. DFE looking great, and I really like at the very end that self-destruct we saw from Mr. Dreams to gatekeep. DFE played so well around that choke, and here we see an example of that. Easy hanging out around that choke, all the assists he got from that self-destruct and getting the cleanup onto the Discord target, and that's us seeing the coordination that DFE was able to use. You know, they comboed ultimates well, and that's what allowed them to hold the point for so long on both of these rounds in Nepal.
Yeah, that was honestly what I was going to call out there is the combination between Arani and Easy on the main that Winston there. Those Discord bubbles or those Discords going out there and keeping down members of Unsociables. I feel like they started almost every team fight there, at least one up, 5-6 or something like that. And a lot of that was also off the back of Genectro's Pharah play. Unsociables could not find an answer to that pocketed Pharah pharmacy combo up in the sky. Tried it with the Soldier 76, did not really find it. We're going to be moving on over to Watchpoint Gibraltar pretty soon.
Yeah, it looks like for the second map, we will be going to Escort. Now, I think that when you're against a Pharah like we saw on Shrine, you want to try and get to the point safely, right? Pharah's job is to get a bunch of poke on you before you make it to the point. I think potentially if Unsociables had flanked around to the side there through all of the buildings, right, opposite the coast, that could have helped. But just running straight through that choke, Genectro had the exact positioning that they wanted and was just nailing those rockets down onto the tank line. It's so hard to push through in cases like that.
I completely agree, especially with those damage extra 30% from the Mercy, and then if a target has a Discord on it, that's another little bit right there. We're going to be getting it going. Watch Gibraltar.
Okay, Gibraltar is an interesting choice here. This is a map that is very, very Widow dominant, and it's also one of the hardest maps to run Reinhardt comps on. So what we saw from Unsociables, they did run a little Reinhardt, but they didn't really have a good idea of who they wanted on it. They were swapping back and forth, so I think maybe moving away from a Reinhardt-centric map could benefit them. So I'll be interested to see if they do rely on a dive composition on this map to couple with that Widowmaker.
And especially this up top part, over by the big old radar thing, we'll call it. Very popular to hold here, but I feel like a lot of teams don't find the value that they're really looking for. Holding up here, not finding the picks, and especially, like you were just saying, if the other team has a shield tank, like the Reinhardt and stuff like that, then there's really not a whole lot that can do to it. Down there with a big old shield up, blocking, any rockets coming from Pharah above, if Genectro so chooses to play that one again, or any, widow shots, all kinds of different stuff there.
Exactly. The high ground is super important on Gibraltar. On this first point, we usually see people fighting over this blue box area on the high ground, and you'll usually see the defense grab a hero or two that can get up there easily. Sometimes a Hanzo or Genji, sometimes a Diva Winston, right? But just so you've got that mobility so you can get up there. It looks like on the defense, we are going to see Unsociables actually continue to play this Reinhardt here. And they're going to run a very spam-heavy defense. They're going to be running that Hanzo Junkrat and high healing, high sustain as well with the Moira Mercy. So a very defensive composition. They're going to want to spam damage out and try and, wear the team down with the sustained damage and the sustained healing together.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. Going for longer fights here. Mr. Dream is certainly going to be eating a lot of these healing and damage balls coming out by the Moira. Honestly, probably one of the harder counters to those balls. Dive coming on in for Dragon Fang Esports. Easy and company, but no, Unsociables is doing a very good job of holding it together here and not splitting off to try and find any picks. Genectro is going to find a big one there to start this one off. Shawarama, and getting a little bit low here is almost going to fall, but it looks like Tyler's doing a great job keeping up there. Alex is going to go down to the big old monkey. Another monkey jump on point. DFB is rolling on in here. Arani down bottom. And, it finishes that one. Extra with another big headshot. That one's not going to be able to do rest up. 3 minutes, 15 seconds. DFB is rolling at the 1 point.
Arani has just been moving the payload this entire time and has still been able to get those Discord and heal orbs off and get a lot of effectiveness. And that's why we don't usually see the Reinhardt hold so far forward and usually rely on that high ground, because Genectro found the angle, found the crossfire, got the pick despite the shield being up. And this is one of the fastest completions of point A I've ever seen. 5.5 minutes still in the bank, continuing to get the stagger kills for GFE. This is an incredibly strong start on Gibraltar.
Sweet, not letting up for 2 seconds. Easy and company, they're also going to try and push on this right side because both of Unsociables tanks are down there, I believe. Alex finding another one on Jeanette. Oh, they're trading here. Headshots coming in for both snipers. And I believe they both just got rezzed up, so they're not going to have that mistake fixed here. And again, that is the Reinhardt and the Zarya down bottom here. We're not going to be able to get back with team, and they might see a charge going through with both tanks down bottom. There you go. DFE is going to be taking out the supports, and the attack here is here in the back. Alex up top, not going to matter. Sweet pros coming through with the big ones. Alex also falling to this mean old Genji blade. Easy now, monkeying around on point and just taking out lots going on here. It's only going to be Prize on point to, nope, actually this fall there. Ronnie getting rezzed up in the middle of it. There you go. DFE seems to have won this one.
Yeah, this card is not going to stop moving. The tanks being trapped underneath in spawn and taking so long to reset means another fight goes the way of DFE. This card has barely, had to tap the brakes. Arani falls, gets rezzed. Easy has just been destroying this game. Just taking big advantage of this dive map, playing Winston, and has been so aggressive. And the follow-up between Easy, Swede, and Genectro has just been great. Genectro is finding the right angle, and Easy is putting out so much damage on Monkey.
He really is. There you go. More headshots coming through. Another angle. What time it is. Monty going to follow that one, and they're still rolling. 5 minutes, 10 seconds to go. Easy finds another one in the end. Another 2 in the end.
Absolute destruction so far for Dragon's
You know what I'm going to say, right? The whole, with tanks like these, you need...
Exactly. And this is unreal. Look at the ultimate bank that we have for the defense. They've got plenty up, but I don't know that they're going to have a chance to use it. They've just literally been staggered for an entire match.
Yeah, Monty now coming down and now contesting. There we go. James the big old self-destruct on point. And taking out Monty right before them did set that up. Monty had a little shot at contesting there because it did not look like the tanks at least knew that he was there. He was coming over around the back there to contest. Maybe should have just contested as opposed to trying to take out multiple people. We'd come back.
Ooh, that was a blistering pace. Almost 5 minutes in the bank on Gibraltar. That's unheard of.
Yeah,
it's just insane. And that's when you need to see someone on the side of Unsociables say, hey guys, we're literally all just going to stand in spawn until all 6 of us have respawned. We try to take positioning, but we keep getting punished because not all of us are there. They're moving to the right positions, but it doesn't matter if you're in the right spot. If your supporting teammates aren't there, you just get punished by this aggressive dive from Easy. And there really wasn't an answer for Easy the whole game. There's not a lot of swaps you can make to punish a Winston on this map, but they didn't change their play style either, and Easy just kind of ran all over the place here.
Yeah, he really did, especially being supported from a distance. Arani's, I'm going to say Arani's, Orbs of Harmony to heal, but half the time I feel like Easy was so far away, she couldn't even put those on, right?
Yeah, Arani was going off there as far as the objective time is concerned. There's no way that's not going to be the gold medal coming out for Arani. And that's one of the strengths of Zenyatta, is the ability to support from a distance, right? Throw those orbs. And especially that's why we see Zenyatta partnered so often with these aggressive dive comps. And Widow Genji is just such an aggressive, strong composition on this map that I think that the odds of us seeing either Widow or Genji come back in this next round are pretty high. They're just so strong on Gibraltar. And of course, Winston as well. It is his home turf, and we saw Easy just taking such advantage of Winston on this map.
Home turf. That's a funny way to put it. I guess that Winston's, he's got the Gibraltar, correct? Like this is the research point for him.
Yeah, this is in the lore. This is where he landed when he left the moon base, and then he built this whole setup here. So this is like Winston's home away from home.
Yeah, right. They got like the home up in the sky or up in the moon. They got his home here. I don't think any other characters have two maps dedicated to him, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, Winston really is the only one. That's because he's the best hero in Overwatch.
Share Hanamura, right?
Exactly.
A bold statement. Not necessarily that Easy is playing, and I'm gonna have to watch you screaming out his name because it sounds like I'm telling you to like be quiet or something. Like easy, but definitely not the case. Monty coming through. Gonna be playing with this Widowmaker, trying to find some value in that up top. Alex with the pharmacy combo, and Unsociables is now rolling, pricing melted down here.
This is a very aggressive hold that we're seeing from the side of DFV. Similarly to what we saw from the Unsociables, they were holding aggressively too, but this is a dive comp. They're trying to take the fight to you with a defensive Tracer, and we're seeing more and more defensive Widows defensive Doomfists on Gibraltar, and I really like that pick, especially on the first stage.
Maybe a prize in time for getting rolling through here, taking out this. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter to take this early, especially through this choke point here. Prize gonna fall here. Typher probably going to be right behind him, all by himself here. 4 on. Yeah, it's DMAC toss now, and Unsociables will be looking for a reset. 2 minutes, 53 seconds to go. Ooh, Monty finding a good one there in the end.
He does end up getting cleaned up, though. Easy knows where to look once that Widow kill comes in. And we're seeing even more Easy just going off, now comboing with Genectro for the cleanup. We see the Swede onto Widow. Genectro getting a stick onto Pharah.
That is and not something you see frequently.
Aggressive defense here. We have the double dive tanks with Easy and Mr. Dreams on the Winston and Hammond. And this is just going to continue to be a problem for the backline. Shama Ramen is going to have to pull some craziness to stay alive here.
Yeah, I got to say, that's a fun one to say, but lots of pushing and shoving down here. Point Raxby and company trying to get. We have an angry monkey coming through, not letting anybody through. Super just battering there. Yeah, he's not letting up for 2 seconds either. Shots coming through here, and yeah, lots of Unsociables falling. 1 minute, 56 seconds to go.
And when you hold so far forward like this on the defense and the offense isn't able to touch the card at all, it just starts rolling backwards. And that's what we're seeing here. So even if they do win the fight, it's going to take them that much longer to complete the point. And we see Genectro again just aggressively in the spawn. Swede getting a double kill on the far Mercy here with the help from Arani. And despite this wall hacks coming out from Monty, I don't think that's going to be enough for them to get out of spawn here.
Yeah, Genectro showing that he can play, Swede showing that he can play. That would have just the same as Genectro. Oh, Alex up top, barrage coming through. Is going to find ones here. Placed, and well, Alex is going to fall here now to Genectro. The star DPS, which is doing very well so far. Bryce, oh, there you go, coming on back here. Here's Hammond, Mr. Dreams is going to spell nightmares for this team. Genectro falling here to a pretty well placed headshot. Alex is going to get rezzed up. That means that the Unsociables are, I was about to say, we're about even here now, but Alex falling to this Primal Rage, that is about even. Mr. Dreams now down, and Unsociables rolling now.
Yeah, Unsociables finally getting the cart rolling in earnest. They're making it through this little car wash section, but this big open final courtyard is the difficulty, especially with Easy in a good position on this Winston.
Oh, Ronnie coming through with the Transcendence, and as well, gonna find Monty. Counterpart, that little headshot action here. Typhoon and company really trying to fight here, but it's going to be Hammond's going to be rolling through and taking a lot of damage. Power Driver coming down. There you go. Takes out that Diva in there in the end. Maybe just run through a minefield here and taking out. Prize also down in this team fight. It's about over 6 seconds, 5 seconds coming in.
Yeah, it's not just the team fight that's over. This is going to be a full hold. This is going to be the game. Monty is barely able to touch to trigger OT, but that's it. No one else is going to follow up. And this is a strong 2-0 start from Dragon's Fang. Unsociables has yet to get a point on the board. Shutout on Nepal and shutout on Gibraltar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Easy. They just could not. Of course, this Tesla cannon going through any shields that Unsociables was showing. And these dives, just there you go. Like I said, just finding a whole lot of value in this, not being able to really answer that too much. Monty was having some good headshots there, but yeah, I feel like every single one was answered by an easy, jump right on top of him, right?
Exactly. Easy was always ready to go. And we saw both Genetro and Swede answering back with their own headshots. And then we saw on the defense, Genetro playing Tracer, getting aggressive, diving onto the back line. So just kind of what we're seeing so far from Dragon's Fang is taking it to Unsociables and saying, hey, look, we're going to play aggressive and we're going to force you to work together to beat us because we are just going to blitz you. And without that communication with the level of pressure we're seeing from Dragon's Fang, so far Unsociables hasn't been able to stand up to it.
Yeah, like you just said, this dive comp coming in, I feel like every time that Unsociables was able to find a pick, I guess kind of like I just mentioned, Easy would be jumping back on over to take out, the Pharah, take out Genectra would be taking out the Pharah, and Easy would be taking out the Widowmaker. And they would always be going in these fights, down 5-6, down a support, down a tank, something like this, just down something to really reduce the capabilities that they had in the next team fight.
And that's again one of the big advantages to playing aggressive and taking all this space on a dive composition is it means that your front line and that's running all this interference is so much further forward, and then you've got your back line really far back. So it means if they want to get into your back line, if they want to pressure your team, they have to walk through your dive tanks. And then your dive tanks can then follow your escape. When you try and run away, they've got their cooldowns up, right? So they can just chase you down. And we saw Easy taking huge advantage of that. Back-to-back play of the games is not usually what you expect on a Winston, but that's what he's been pulling out for us. And it appears we may be going over to Temple of Anubis for the next map. And that is also a very strong map for Winston. So we might continue to see Easy kind of go crazy on this monkey.
Yeah, I'd not be surprised. Like offense, defense, really great with both. I really kind of think it's a lot because of a lot of the high grounds and high points and stuff like that. But if you want to talk about that, why Winston is so good on Temple of Anubis, then I will hear it all day.
The first point is interesting, right? Orisa is something we've seen a lot on the first point of Anubis. You can either hold up on the high ground, use a Symmetra teleporter before the round starts to boost everybody up there. Or you can hold forward and try and deny the choke point. And personally, I would love to just continue to see Easy on the Winston. He's just clearly been a standout on that hero. But I want to see some equal aggression on the offense because we do see Unsociables on the offense first this time. And the offense, particularly point A, this is an amazing dive map. So I really want to see Unsociables come out with a dive comp and see what they can bring us with a lineup around that Winston Diva.
Yeah, around the dive tanks. I understand what you're saying. Monty over here on the Sombra. That might be a solid answer to this diving team composition that DFE has. If she can get a hack onto either of these diving tanks and completely disable their abilities to get back to team, and DFE is forced to take team fights 5-6, then this first point will fall very quickly.
Absolutely. Sombra, if we do see this come in for Monty, is a great answer to an offensive, very aggressive dive. Exactly like you said, you can hack those dive tanks and just blow them up when they come in. She can also flank around with her new unlimited stealth as of this patch and punish the backline from DFE, who has been under almost no threat so far this series. They've just been able to stay back, stay healthy, pick their targets, and not have to focus on running around or peeling, just, keeping their team alive. So we see them holding the high ground on the defense. DFE, again, running this Widow Genji. They really like this combo, and I can't really fault them. Both Genectro and the Swede look great on these heroes on Gibraltar.
Yeah, and they always have. And thus far, it looks like Unsociables Monty totally finished yet. But honestly, the way Dragon Fang Esports has been playing, this game is pretty much done. Dragon Fang Esports coming through, showing this triple support here, the triple tank, triple support here, goes comp on attack. Always very popular for the first point.
Especially when you only need the one tick, right? Because once you build up all those tank ultimates, it's very hard to, for the defense to win a fight against the kind of ultimate economy you can build up on goats. Now, to deal with that defensively, we're going to see a bunker comp, 2 shields and a bastion here with a Moira for some AoE healing. And bastion can be a very effective counter to this goats composition, especially on Anubis. It's very difficult to get up in Bastion's face on this tank comp, and he can just shred through the front line.
Yeah, and especially if you take out that Reinhardt. Ronnie falling pretty early here. Junkrat, Tire, and Mine. Excuse me, Monty's already going to be up about 35%. These dual shields definitely going to provide some value for Raxby on the Bastion. Looks like DFB is going to be trying to wait. Yeah, they're going to be waiting to come back here with no mercy. There's no res, they're just waiting.
And they're going to try and speed boost through here. They've got to make it to the point without really losing anyone, which is really difficult against this Bastion Junkrat. But Junkrat's out of position. They just speed boost through.
Ooh, Alex almost falling here, being for Unsociables, and they're almost be called to extra. Ooh, a little D-mech action, but with this Moira ult already coming out by Finks. Wow, with about 45 seconds in, no to contest, and that's 3 minutes 10 seconds for a take for Fang Esports.
Such a fast cap, even with that initial stall kill coming out from Monty. That's going to be it. And Easy again with the play of the game on the Reinhardt this time when they push through. And while we've been singing Easy's praises, I think in this clip, yes, you can see Mr. Dreams running right up to that Bastion. And even when the mech dies, body blocking with the mech to prevent any effectiveness coming out. So I think Mr. Dreams deserves a lot of credit for that final push, right? The Junkrat was out of position. They speed boost through, make the right call, and then say, hey, we're going to throw our D.Va at this Bastion, shut down the center of your comp, and they make it work. They get a cap on what's basically their first push here.
Mm-hmm. Something I really liked there on the end was that the Bastion was not taken out towards the end. He was just, they knew that he was stationary and he is most damaging in his sentry formation, in that lockdown thing in which he has to undo and then move, and so they didn't bother taking out him necessarily and taking the fight to him, which of course profits the Bastion, having somebody right to his face that he can just hold down that trigger and just melt down anybody. No, they took out everybody else around him for the mercy to dive in Chamaram and having him over the back to keep other people alive, and then just picking them off as they wanted to. And then once Bastion's by himself, completely unsupported, he had no other option of falling down and trying to contest himself.
Exactly, and that's what happens when you're on the high ground as Bastion. It's kind of a two-way street, right? So the tanky compositions can't get up in your face to do the damage, but someone from your team still has to touch that point, still has to contest. And if you're not in a position to be able to mow down the tanks before they get there, there's not really a lot you can do. And when they speed boost around you and then they throw that D.Va in your face, you don't really have the chance to break down Easy's Rhine shield, and then Goats Comp does what Goats Comp does.
A very good way. That's why I co-cast with you, Dream. That phrasing, I love it. Yeah, the D.Va being a really, really to these Bastions, it's not necessarily a shield that needs to, that has a, that has like a health bar, that needs to be melted down. It's just the defense matrix, eating every single projectile and just turning it into, nothingness right there. And with that full bar, especially DFE coming through, just waiting, just taking their time, about that 20 seconds or so after Arani got taken out by that Junkrat, the Junkrat trap and whatnot, then the D.Va's got her entire bar to completely focus on the Bastion, which of course, like you said, that bunker comp is really what Unsociables were relying on there to get that damage out and melt down those 3 tanks coming right for the face.
Yeah, and on the side of Unsociables, although we did see a pretty resounding win from Dragon's Fang overall, honestly, a complete shutout is pretty rare in a best of 5 format like this in Overwatch. But I think a lot of their instincts were right? Like they had the right idea of what swaps to make. They knew where they wanted to rotate. It was just they were a tad bit off in their execution on that. Exactly right. So I think that we can still expect to see them do well in Open Division moving forward after they suffer this day 1 loss in Season 3 of Open Division here. But I think obviously looking over to the side of Dragon's Fang, they've got to be happy with this first day. And like we said, it's a long-term event. It's over several weeks here, not just this weekend. So getting off to an early start is really good, but they've got to be able to sustain it. You can't peak early. You've got to time your peak, 3-4 weeks from now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to it on the side of Unsociables, I will say, Monty, we have not seen very many widows that can keep up with Genectro, right? And Monty was finding them on Hanzo and on Widowmaker. These duels coming through. Of course, again, and like we said, frequently these one widow duels would result in dive tanks instantly blowing up Monty's spot and not letting him find any more value there and just taking that pick out to make the fight 5-5. But still, a lot goes to Monty there for 5 shots against a well trained Widowmaker like Genectro.
Absolutely, and the other big difference between these teams, I think, was Unsociables showed some flexibility between roles. They were moving around a lot. And I think that's a strength. You can kind of throw curveballs at your opponents, especially in open division, where you certainly can do some research, but you're not going to know all the other teams' pocket strategies, right? But then on the other side of things, Dragon's Fang looked very ready with everyone in their respective roles, and they looked very practiced and ready to go with a few set compositions. And I think that can also be a strength in open division. I think you can play to either one of those, and both teams are going to be looking to do that moving forward here. But what are your final thoughts on Dragon's Fang? I know we're going to be potentially seeing some more of them. So what are our thoughts here, moving after this first week? How do you feel about day one?
Okay. So I think we touched on this a little bit, but very confident, obviously. Dragon's Fang showing about as good a performance as they could, like between performance-wise, physically how they did, and those time banks, right? Wasn't it 5 minutes and some change on Gibraltar?
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, but like you hinted on, DFE did a great job of switching when they needed to, counter picking or just picking characters that would nullify, right? The Diva Bastion, like we were just talking about. This big old Reinhardt, abandoning the Winston once Unsociables knows what's coming for them. They know that easy in the Discord coming on in, and so he switches over to Reinhardt. Very well done. And that might have on the flip side of that coin, that might have been part of the factor in the reasoning why Unsociables did not do as well as they could have. The swaps did not come in time. Maybe they were waiting for ultimate. Maybe they didn't, really think about it so much. Maybe they didn't think about positioning or the maps they were playing on, vertical positioning and stuff like this. But the picks really, or the swaps did not really come out in time.
I think adapting under pressure like that is a big important skill when it comes to open division, because there are going to be curveballs coming your way. And I think that Unsociables here, they weren't able to do that. The pressure from Dragon's Fang was just a whole lot, especially coming out from easy. I do think you're right to highlight Monty making some individual plays on that Widowmaker with their back against the wall, right? But I think overall as a team, they weren't able to kind of stand up to the heat that we saw coming from the Dragon's Fang team. But I will be interested to see when Dragon's Fang ends up inevitably on the back foot in a game at some point in open division, if they're able to pull out that adaptation, because this was a great start to them, but this was certainly, in my opinion, this was not really a test for them. So we have to see when the pressure's really on, are they going to be able to stand up to that? And, my understanding is tomorrow we've got a team coming up for Dragon's Fang that's got a little bit of a higher average SR, no spoilers, but it may be a little bit more of a challenge for them on day 2. So I'm happy that we've got this momentum started, and I'm really excited to see how that's going to carry over into the match tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if this easy main tank play to the next step. Great team fights won off the back of a main tank that knows where to go and what to do. Not 100% sure what the other team will be throwing at him. And you have a very good point about the playing off the back foot and stuff. Dragon's Fang Esports was very, very aggressive today, and it really did pay off for them every time, right? Every single time they took the fight, to Unsociables, they took it. There was a little bit of an initial hold on Gibraltar, I believe. Nepal was a little bit less one-sided, but this team, once they warm up, can lick the best of them.
Absolutely, and that's the other thing is even though they were ahead, and it looked like they were, you know, pretty favored moving into this third map, especially after the full hold, they didn't get sloppy, right? We saw that early pick come out onto Arani on the Lucio, and the whole team is just like, no, we're gonna wait over to the side till everyone's here, right? I was joking about that with Unsociables, where I was like, they all just need to wait and spawn and not step out. Dragon's Fang stayed disciplined despite their lead. They're like, no, we're ahead, but we're not going to mess around. We're taking this seriously. Open division is super important to us. We are trying to win these matches. We're going to play it slow. We're going to make the right move, push through, and they do. They get a complete shutout. This was dominant, and they earned it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think we're going to be wrapping up here in just. Did you see anything, let's say, that Dragon's Fang could have done better?
I think you touching on the swaps, I very much agree with, right? And like I said earlier, I think they had the right instincts, but I think they just need to tweak a little bit of that execution, right? Things like only putting one person on the point when you're trying to put pressure. You don't need to necessarily move your back line all the way through onto the point. And, you know, knowing when you're going for those flanks and you're taking the 1v1s that if you lose those 1v1s, you're kind of losing your team the fight. So maybe play a little more passive if you're not confident in those 1v1 scenarios. But other than that, I mean, I really think it's just a matter of teamwork and discipline, which is what we saw consistently from Dragon's Fang, not so much from Unsociables. But like we've hit on multiple times, we're going to have to continue to see that discipline moving forward from Dragon's Fang.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are going to go ahead and sign off here. We have some player interviews that we are going to be going over on here soon, but with a shorter game today, I believe those for another time. My name is FBI Tugboat. I have been your play-by-play caster.
And I'm Dream here with the analysis. We just want to thank everybody for checking us out. This has been a cast of Dragon's Fang Esports EU Open Division Week 1, Day 1. Check us out tomorrow for Day 2.